All right, everyone. Going to be starting everything just a little bit early here. We'll play the intro in just a little bit. This is going to be my first time actually using a streaming software, not just going straight through to YouTube on their live option. I'm finally using StreamYard. So you guys tell me how this is working out. Let me know in the chats if it's choppy. Is it coming through clear? How's the sound? It's the first time I've actually tried to live stream to two platforms at once. So if you haven't already and you are not aware, the Lone Wolf podcast has finally made it over to Rockfin. So if you haven't, definitely go over to Rockfin, give it a follow over there, and check out Rockfin because it's a great platform for content creators. It's a much better platform, in my opinion, than what YouTube's doing. Even though I'm on YouTube still, even Rockfin will tell you don't completely get rid of YouTube. Use it for what you can, but I mean, it took me quite a while to get 100 subscribers on YouTube, probably about 3.5 months to get 100 subscribers. I've been on Rockfin right at a week, and I'm already over 200 followers. So, I mean, that's pretty good stuff in my opinion. So, today we're going to be covering the recent, decision from the Supreme Court to undo the rent moratorium. And we're also going to be talking about what's going on in Afghanistan. So let's go ahead and hit the intro, and we're going to get right into it.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right. So, as you know, I haven't been able to post in the last week. If you've been following the channel, I've been a little busy this past week, and I originally planned on doing this at 5, but yeah, I said, you know what? Screw it. It'll give me time to kind of play around with this whole StreamYard thing, see how it's working out. But as I promised in the past, I'm going to start trying to do a lot more of these live streams. And so, going back to the previous video that I put out about the whole thing with Afghanistan, this is going to be one of those rare occasions where I'm going to be defending President Joseph R. Biden. Okay. A lot of people are saying that Biden pulled out of Afghanistan. He didn't have a plan, et cetera, et cetera. I think Kyle Kalinske kind of summed this up the best. And that is 60% of the country agrees with the idea that we should pull out of Afghanistan. Yet, all of a sudden, Biden's numbers are tanking because he pulled out of Afghanistan. And the main reason for that seems to be the fact that the mainstream media is warping this that, he just didn't pull out of Afghanistan the right way. He didn't pull out of Afghanistan with a plan. Which I've been saying this entire time. Okay, if you say he didn't have a plan, you tell me what your plan would have been. One of the first things that I keep hearing is, well, we shouldn't have left the weapons laying around for the Taliban to take. I look at that and I say that, okay, you're drinking way too much Kool-Aid. From what I understand about the weapons that we left, number one, they say it's more expensive to bring them back. But if you're not leaving them there for a legit reason, then yeah, I mean, whether it's costly or not, bring them back. You wouldn't want to leave them for the enemy. But we spent $90 billion in an attempt to train an Afghan military. We left the weapons for them. Now, the fact that they were a bunch of puss cakes, tuck-tailed and ran like cowards with their tail between their legs, I mean, is it our fault? We'll get back to that in a minute, but that's on them for running. And they left those weapons laying around for the Taliban to take. So don't, believe this notion that what happened with that is that the U.S. just left their toys laying around like kids do in a sandbox for the Taliban to come and take. No. We left these things there for a military to try and use to defend themselves, and they just completely ran away from battle. That's why the whole country fell in less than a week. Okay. So for this notion that we didn't exit properly or we didn't exit with a plan, the people who keep saying that, I want to know exactly what your plan would have been. The other thing I tend to hear is, well, we should have gotten all of our people out in a more timely manner. Now, this could be true. This could be a lie, but, who in the hell knows at this point? Supposedly, The intelligence agencies told the Biden administration, you've got X amount of time to get people out. Turns out that was not true because the country fell like dominoes, literally. As soon as we started pulling out, the first domino fell and everything else was just a chain reaction. I mean, the whole country fell in a week, and it's absolutely pitiful. And for the people who seem to have the take, oh, look at all the money we spent, we should get a better return of investment or some crap. Return of investment? There is no return of investment. We invested into war. We invested into propping up a phony economy, a faux government. Like, really? What is the return of investment? See, there is one return of investment, and that return of investment is to stay there indefinitely, keep the heroin trade propped up, keep the military-industrial complex well fed, and to try to get a hold of those minerals like lithium. That's your return of investment. Pulling out gives you no return of investment considering the trillions of dollars that we have already spent into this war. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting when you think about the amount of money we spent on war and didn't do a damn thing with right here at home. Okay. I mean, it's absolutely stomach turning, in my opinion. So, read a couple of the chats here real quick while I got some people rolling in. Saw Anthony was in with us earlier, Holly Horn. Hi, Charles. How are you? Doing pretty good, Holly. Been a busy week. So, time to get back to some video stuff here. Hello, Vietnam. No return in war. No, there's return and profit for the people who stand to make money off of war. But for people like us, there's absolutely no benefit. There's no return whatsoever. The only time there's a benefit in war for people like us is if we were legit under attack. Like if it was really, we had to fight off something like the Third Reich. If there was something the size of Nazi Germany that was invading our country, then perhaps. But other than that, no, there is absolutely no return of investment. ICU, I am not giving him credit too soon. It seems fishy to me how everything is going down. Now more troops going to protect the airport from ISIS. So when I heard about the whole ISIS thing, when the suicide bombing took place, I'm a little nervous about that one. Biden has promised retaliation, and I don't know what that could escalate into, but that gets me to something that I was going to make a point of in this video that I really didn't get to make in the last video, which is it seems to me that they are doing a lot of this by design. They are intentionally trying to make the public think this whole thing was a colossal disaster. Pulling out is the worst decision in the world. And so now look at the chaos, look at the humanity. We've got to go back in and fix this. That seems to be what they're really trying to push everything up towards. And now you've got this ISIS suicide bombing. It's only icing on the cake at this point. Okay, they're going to use that as more justification, like, see, this is why we can't leave. So that's what I'm worried about. The only thing I'm going to say, look, I would have never saw Joe Biden doing as much as he did. I think that perhaps we are possibly seeing the one shred of humanity in this president. And I think, if anything, what possibly, and even though I am not a Joe Biden fan, I did not vote for the guy. If he ran the next time, probably won't vote for him then either. But I think, in all fairness, what separates Biden from a lot of the predecessors right now is you hear from a lot of anti-war activists, why don't these presidents or these people, these neocons who cheer on war, why don't they send their own people off, to war? Why don't they send their own kids? They want me to send my kids. Why don't they send their own kids? You hear that a lot, right? Here's the difference between people like Biden and Trump and Bush. Biden sent his son off to war and he died. Okay. Beau Biden died in combat. And everyone, no matter how evil, has some shred, I believe, of humanity in them somewhere. And you could be a sick, sadistic, evil individual, but losing your own son could do a number on you. And so I think perhaps after 20 years, and losing his own son to these wars, he might be to the point he's just like, fuck the neocons. I don't care what you think. This is going on. We can do crooked stuff in other ways, guys. I'll try to keep you happy, but the war has to end. Now, is he ending all war? Fuck. He just shot like missiles off not long ago, right? I don't think he's ending all war, but I think he understands that the public wanted out of Afghanistan. He's lost his son from things like the burn pits. So I think he is just to that point. Now, that being said, another reason why I do feel like he's probably going to go through with it, could he be changed at this point? Uh, Potentially. Okay. Um, but that being said, I think he's going to go through with it just because of the fact that, in all honesty, it makes no sense. He had to know that the neocons were going to come after him to unload on him with both barrels for doing this. I mean, he's hurting the pocketbooks doing this shit of the military industrial complex. He's hurting the drug trade, the dirty money in the international banks from the heroin trade. He's hurting the fucking big corporations that want to get their hands on the lithium and the raw materials and the minerals and shit. He's hurting the business and the pocketbooks of all these fucking people. And these are powerful fucking people. Like, I get it. He's supposed to be the president of the United States, but these are still powerful people. He had to know that that shit was what was going to happen. And so, as expected, it definitely fucking happened, and it has tanked his poll numbers. So, if he was just going to try and go back in and reverse course, I don't know why he would have even started. He could just keep preaching this same fucking argument we've been hearing for 20 years, which is, look, if we leave, this whole fucking place is going to hell in a handbasket. And more so than that, now, earlier I referenced, is it our fault that the military that we trained were such cowards? So I'm going to take a sip here real quick, and we're going to hit on that one because I find this very interesting. So, YouTube channel, Heavy Duty Country. He's pretty right wing. I watch his channel from time to time. Don't always agree with everything that the guy says. Again, he's pretty right wing. But I thought recently he made a pretty good point. Okay. He showed a clip, and I believe it was from like over 10 years ago. I think it was from like 2009. But you had our troops talking about how they were trying to train these Afghan troops and how it was a massive, colossal clusterfuck. These people would not listen to the shit they were being taught. They would try to teach them, like, the different military techniques, combat techniques, handling weapons, and they just wouldn't fucking listen. But then here's something that I found extremely interesting. One said that these people were getting high on heroin. Now, have I been there? Do I know it for a fact? No. But I am inclined to believe that that is a possibility, considering the fact that over 90% of the world's heroin could come from Afghanistan because they have such a massive poppy field, industry over there. Which, ironically enough, this is why I referenced heroin earlier, and the international laundered money as being one of the groups that's going to go after Biden's ass for withdrawing. When the Taliban first had control of Afghanistan, they put the poppy growers out of business. Okay? When they did that, a lot of laundered money started drying up in the international banks because it really hurt the heroin trade. Soon thereafter, we actually had a recession. So one of the first things that the U.S. did when they invaded Afghanistan was put the poppy growers back in business. Yet we fight a war on drugs in this country. Irony, right? Like, so much shit we can't do right here in our own backyard, right here at home, yet we're actually contributing to a lot of the things we don't want done here at home when we go into another. It makes sense of that. Like, I don't even think you could be high on heroin and make sense of that shit. You could be on the biggest LSD or acid trip in the world And that ain't going to make no fucking sense. If any damn thing, you'd go on one of those trips and it'd probably fry your fucking brain and you'd just be mind fucked out of your head. Okay. My personal opinion, because it makes zero fucking sense. We fight a war on drugs here, but the rich and powerful are trying to prop up the drug market because they probably got money invested in the shit, right? Read a couple of more of these here. ICU. Bo died at home from a brain tumor, and then didn't consider from the pit. So yeah, he didn't die, I think, in combat. But what affected him as a result of the burn pits, they say, led to like the tumor and shit like that. So the result of what happened in those wars is what led to his condition that caused him to die. So I do think that plays a role on that. ICU goes on to say, but this is the same Biden that needed help paying for his own son's medical treatments and still didn't and won't stop the insurance companies. Well, and that's so that is exactly my point. Okay. Joe Biden is not going to become Mr. Progressive or Mr. Middle Class or, whatever you want to label him as. Joe Biden is going to be a crooked son of a gun the rest of the time he's in office, in my opinion. I think this just happens to be the one issue where, because it probably plays a toll on him in his personal life, he's going to get it right. Okay. And this might be one of the only damn things he gets right for his entire 4-year term. Who the hell knows? But I think this is just that one instance where he's going to do the right thing, because unlike his predecessors, this has more of a toll on him personally than it did with Trump or Obama or Bush Senior or Clinton or who the hell ever, right? They didn't lose a child as a result of these shitty wars. These gaslit fucking nation building imperialistic wars, and Biden did. Okay, not directly in combat, but as a result. So I do think that plays a little bit involved. But like I said, I wouldn't put it past our deep state to have intentionally been picking this fucking riffraff. Like, they knew these people would fucking run. Again, like, if you knew these people were getting high on heroin potentially, and when you were training them, why the fuck were you training them? Like, did you not have more sense than that? Something smells with that whole scenario, doesn't it? Something just really fucking stinks. Like, why would you train people who, number one, apparently had their balls chopped off? They've got no fucking courage in the world. None. They won't put up a fight one bit. Now, you're going to train them, and if they're getting high on a highly addictive substance, and we're not talking about smoking grass over here, we're talking about fucking, heroin. Heroin is one of those things that can really fuck up your life. Okay? Smoking a little grass, well, first of all, I don't know if that's the best thing to do if you're going to have to fight in combat either. I've smoked marijuana before. Last thing I want to fucking do is go pick up the gun and go shooting. That would probably, I'd be like, oh, whoa, no, I don't need to do that. Nope. Nope. That's loud. I don't want to do that right now. No. Not something you want to do. Now, if they needed something to help them go fight, I don't know, take a couple of shots of Jack Daniels or something. Don't get drunk, because then you can't aim for shit. But, take some fucking liquid courage or something, because these people had no fucking courage. They just completely ran. Okay. Let's see. Tarot Man commented in, Ice K, another flavor of jihad thought up by the deep state. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. And like I said, I think that this is all being done in a way to try to make it look like a complete clusterfuck. If Biden does completely pull us out, I feel like they're doing this to make it look like a complete abysmal failure. And when his, successor comes along, I would not be the slightest bit surprised to see us marching our happy asses right back into Afghanistan one of these days. Seriously. I could very, very easily see that being the case. Okay. But only time will tell. I feel like this is being done by design in a way to try to make it look this way. And again, at the same time, how in the hell is it that still 60% of the country wants to withdraw from a war, yet when a president finally does it, his poll numbers are tanking? You can thank mainstream media for that. Last point that I want to make on this is I didn't name names in my last video. I'm not going to name names in this video. But there was a few of my friends. I still plan to do videos with them in the future. This isn't a burning the bridges or a cutting ties, but I feel like how me and a few of these people discussed Trump derangement syndrome, they have now fallen victim to the new variant. Because variants are the whole, you hear about variants all the time. Apparently there's variants, outside of Rona. There's variants in the political world too. You had Trump derangement syndrome. Now I think we're starting to see victims of good old BDS, Biden derangement syndrome. They've been talking about how they wanted to end war this entire time. They've been talking about how mainstream media lies like clockwork this entire time. And now Biden does something that's right. Mainstream media goes after the guy, and they're taking talking points being fed to them by CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, the Washington Post, all these fucking propaganda pushing bullshitters, and they're treating it like it's complete truth and then criticizing Biden. It's like all of a sudden they took the tone, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And since Joe Biden is my enemy, and right now they're being his enemy, mainstream media now must be my friend. No, they're the same lying bullshitters they've been this entire time. They want war to continue. That's why they have commercials and shit from people like fucking Raytheon or Boeing, Lockheed Martin. These people have a vested interest in news. Say people like fucking Bezos, he owns a fucking newspaper and he's got ties to the CIA. I wonder why his fucking newspaper might be a little pro fucking war, right? You ever think of that maybe? Just a little curious there, right? So, I mean, there you go. Only time will tell, but I mean, look, some of my friends got to wake up on this. Could Biden have done certain things differently? Perhaps. Is there criticisms, legit, honest criticisms to make? Sure. But this whole, we just left the weapons laying around, that's a mainstream media talking point. The weapons were left for the military. We spent $90 billion to train, not for the Taliban. We were not a lot of 6-year-olds who left our buckets and shovels in the sandbox. And when mama came and called out the back door and said, hey, supper's ready, just left our shit laying around and took off running. That's not what happened. No, that's what the people we trained did. As soon as they saw the Taliban coming, there's really a fucking video floating around, where it looks like the people we trained were just like laying their guns down in front of the Taliban. Like just flat out surrendering to them. I mean, it's just so fucking ridiculous in all honesty. So read through a couple of these and then we're going to switch over to this whole rent moratorium thing. Tarot Man. Yep. They did the same to Donald Trump when he wanted to pull out of, we wanted to pull out of Syria when ISIS bombed and 4 Americans died in Kurdish controlled territory. Yeah. The military industrial complex wants that gravy train running at all costs, so no president is allowed to pull out the troops, which is so fucking ass backwards, considering that is supposed to literally be one of the president's powers. Frank Analysis. What up, Charles? Finally getting back to making videos. Hope you're doing well over there today, Franco. Anthony Reyes. Weapons manufacturers and the military industrial complex run our foreign policy. There must be a method to their madness on this. Oh, of course there's a method to their madness on this. It's all being fucking used to give reasons why we have to go back to fucking Afghanistan. Even if Biden won't do it, they're leaving this unfinished business. It's like a cliffhanger, right? It's like the fucking movie where they just leave a little bit open at the end where there might be a sequel. That's what they set up with this shit, in my honest opinion. Okay? They're setting this up so that when a successor comes along to Biden, there might be a legit reason where they're like, the Biden administration failed us. We need to go back to Afghanistan, especially considering the next president will most likely be a Republican at this point, unless somehow, some way, third parties get their shit together. But that's looking more and more bleak as the days go by. I'm holding on to hope, but you know, I gotta be realistic here at the same time. Okay. Ronwell Naggles. Hi, Charles. How you doing today, Ronwell? Frank Analysis. You're inching closer to 800 subs. Well, I'm getting there a whole lot faster on Rockfin than I am on YouTube, but brother. I'm over 200 in less than a week on Rockfin. It took, like I was saying earlier, it took me like 3 months to get to 100 on YouTube. YouTube is turtle pace. I mean, it is so ridiculous. Let's see. Read through a couple more of these and then let's get on to the next topic here. Let's see. Anthony Reyes, he's not running the show. They juiced him up and Toto gave him that speech. I mean, I don't know, probably. But told to give him that speech. Okay. Frank Analysis, we're getting President Harris before 2024. Yeah, I would expect that too. I really do. So, all right, moving on. Rent moratorium. Shout out to my boy Franco, since he is joining us right now over in the chat. You know, he did some great work not very long ago over at the Capitol, pushing back on people like Cori Bush, AOC. He even got to, talk to the master of the grim job a little bit and push back on him, right? He got to talk to what the hell, that guy that Lee Camp works with or whatever, whoever that dude was that was, just, you don't know what you're talking about. What the hell? They did not vote for that. I was sitting there listening to this. I'm like, this dude is insufferable as shit. Now, somebody might think that about me too, but whatever. But flat out, everyone made such a great fucking deal of the fact, Cori Bush made such a great stand. She did so fucking well. She got the rent moratorium expanded. Anders Lee, thank you, Franco. Anders Lee, yes. What a brilliant voice to the conversation that guy is, right? Just, defending the squad to no end. AOC is doing great things. Cori Bush is so fucking heroic. I mean, just really fucking toting that TYT line, okay? And possibly even someone like Kyle Klinsky. You can't burn bridges with the politicians. You need them in your camp. So we get this rent moratorium, which, by the way, wasn't even stopping all evictions in the first place. Sure, was it doing some good? Sure. But this thing was already flawed in a way because the landlords and shit were finding ways to get around the fact, you didn't pay your rent, so we can't evict you for that. They would find loopholes and still find ways of getting the people kicked out. And then they would still collect the fucking money and use that. There was like an article that came out not long ago. Landlords were using the money they were getting in subsidies to then renovate their fucking apartments and whatnot, and then sell them out for higher prices, rent them out every month for a higher rent. I mean, the fucking corruption is real. But we get this moratorium extended, and everyone's like, see, Cori Bush is really going to fight on this because she was once homeless herself. So she's going to definitely push back. She's not going to allow this to happen. Kind of like what I said about Biden, right? Like how he had a son who died potentially because of the burn pit, so war probably affects him. They made that same argument for Cori Bush. Nothing but a fucking circle jerk. Okay? Nothing but a fucking circle jerk. The Supreme Court has officially just tossed that shit out on its ass. It's not constitutional. What fucking good is this? Like, really? I put out a tweet and I probably should have screenshotted it so I could add it into this stream right here, but I didn't think to do it. So I'm going to tell you what I said instead. And if you want to look at it, go over to my Twitter. If you don't follow me at Vigilant into P1 over on Twitter and check it out. But I'm kind of paraphrasing. I'm not going to read straight off my phone, but it was something along the lines of once upon a time, Americans had the American dream. And that American dream consisted of having a family, buying a house, buying a car, being able to put food on the table. That's why a lot of immigrants wanted to come here. It was the land of opportunity, they said, right? I know people are going to argue that, go at it different ways, but one could definitely argue a few years back, it was easier potentially to climb that ladder. It was easier to start a small business and possibly build it into something. There was that opportunity once upon a time. And it's still there in a way today, but nothing like it was. People had that American dream. Now, the American dream is having hope that I won't lose my business because of government mandates that are strangling my business like a python wrapped around my neck. Having the hope that, I'll be able to feed my family and just keep my head above water. Having some sort of hope that, in all honesty, I'm not going to go broke from a medical debt that I can't fucking afford at all. Before I go on here, I saw Anthony Reyes dropped in a chat here. Wrong. Immigrants came here because this country took timber opportunities in their country, so there's no stability there to remain and thrive. That's why immigrants came, because this country sustains itself. I mean, in some cases, but I mean, if you ask a lot of the older people who came, they simply just they cited this was, this was supposed to be the land of opportunity. And I mean, again, people were going to debate that, but I challenge you, regardless of what your stance is, to tell me that the dollar didn't go further 30 years ago. Not as many people were going broke from medical debt 30 years ago. Life expectancy was higher 30 years ago. Not everyone had to work 2 or 3 jobs 30 years ago. And it was easier to start a small business and actually do something with it 30 years ago. Okay. That was just the way it was. I mean, Main Street once upon a time thrived. It's ghost towns now. So that being said, um, you know, that's what the American dream has turned into now. It's not an American dream anymore. It's an American nightmare. I also put in that tweet that once upon a time, the American dream consisted of people having a hope for some freedom. That's what they thought they were going to get, right? Like if they lived in a place like, North Korea or China or Cuba or whatever, you hear the immigrants that come over here and like, oh, they control what you can think, what you can say, whatever. Okay. But now, where's that freedom? I mean, is it still there to uh, you know, is it still there to an extent? I guess. But look what's going on with what I'm doing right here. I'm very curious by the time this live stream is over, what my views and my numbers are going to look like potentially over on Rockfin as opposed to YouTube. I really am. I'm very curious of that, simply because, in all honesty, you know, YouTube censorship is getting fucking ridiculous. Look, if Franco's still here, look what they did to Franco. They literally took away his monetization. The guy literally worked his ass off. He crossed 1,000 subscribers. He's over 5,000 subscribers now. Obviously, whether YouTube likes him or not, somebody fucking likes this guy. He keeps gaining subscribers, right? But they just yank his fucking monetization right out from underneath him. I mean, how pathetic is that shit? Like, these people, if they didn't even pay him, Franco, if you're still here, drop an update in if I'm wrong on this. But if I'm not mistaken, like, he wasn't even getting the super chats people were sending him. Like, these are people giving their hard-earned money. And trust me, I'm going to go out on a limb and say a lot of the people that watch my show and watch Franco's show are not rich, wealthy, white-collar folks. Perhaps I have some, I guess, maybe. Maybe Franco's got some. But I got a feeling most of who watch our shows are the typical blue-collar, hardworking Americans, middle class, lower class, Americans working hard. They got the struggles every day, right? Doing that 9 to 5 or whatever they're on. Okay, that's I'm pretty sold on that concept. So these people gave $1, $2, $5, $10, whatever they could afford, to give him a super chat so he would read it as part of his show. And you're not even going to give him that money. That's freedom. That's freedom. Okay. Furthermore than that, how about the fact, like, freedom of the press? We got a mainstream media that is bought off and corrupted. They're part of that big club that we're not in, that George Carlin talked about, right? They're being bought off through commercials and ad revenue and all this shit to push propaganda. And someone like me or Franco or Reed Coverdale or Nico House or Jimmy Dore or the Convo Couch, the Gray Zone. I mean, take your pick. Take your pick. Somebody comes along and tries, to basically give an alternative, and they just censor that shit out. And even worse, they start, oh no, you need to be deplatformed. If you don't agree with what the status quo says, now you need to be deplatformed as well. Like, just completely silenced and censored. Get the Alex Jones treatment. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, right? And so, going back to this whole rent moratorium thing, it's a complete farce. Our government, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir when I say this. This is not breaking news. They're not doing a damn thing for the American public anymore. They do not represent the people anymore. And so, when I brought up what the American dream used to be, in regards to what the American dream is now, I say that to say this. People are going to be put out of their homes because this fucking pandemic is flaring back up again. Now, the whole time they're pushing everyone to go get the jab, go get the vaccine. Now we're finding out people with the vaccine are still catching COVID. The Delta variant, the vaccines are only so strong against that. And now we got this new fucking variant that's starting to creep its way into the scene. What is it, like the Lambda variant or something like that, right? And now they're worried that the vaccines just bounce right off that powerhouse of a fucking virus. Like it just bounces right off it. It does nothing. That's what they're starting to get worried about with the new fucking variant. So now we're masking back up. The CDC's reversing previous guidelines. You still need to get the shot. You got the FDA approving the Pfizer vaccine. This shit has no end in sight. And if we end up going back into some sort of a lockdown territory, which I think is not going to be met with a very well reception, if it were to happen, in all honesty, I really don't think it will. But if we were to go back into that territory, imagine what's going to happen as a result of all this. I mean, how many more businesses are going to close? How many more people will, you know, have an issue with this? Okay. Um, I mean, it's pretty horrendous, you know. And so as a result, they're going to they're going to be put out of their home. They're going to lose everything because of these mandates, because of these restrictions. And so the prime, like, I find that ironic. The Supreme Court says this shit is unconstitutional, but you know, this isn't necessarily in the Constitution, but in our Declaration of Independence, a lot of the same founding fathers who were involved, you know, especially Jefferson here, wrote it's the primary function to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, in this case, they're restricting your liberty for the interest of public health. You got Schwarzenegger, like, fuck your rights or whatever, right? Like, screw your rights, screw your freedom, however he put it. Okay. But then at the same time, while they are imposing things to try to keep the virus under control, that is causing hard times on people, they then turn around and at the same time don't protect you from losing every fucking thing you've got. And we're supposed to be the richest country in the world. We're supposed to be the place where the American dream lives, the land of the free, the home of the brave. At this point, Carlin was dead fucking right. If you believe in that, seeing all of this, it's because you're asleep. You gotta be asleep to believe it at this point. They're literally handcuffing you and then throwing you into a pool of sharks. They're giving us no support at all. Okay. Frank Analysis. Let me know if you need help going live on Rockfin at the same time as on YouTube, Charles. I should actually be live on Rockfin right now. If someone wants to go over there and check it out, let me know, because when I set everything up, I added the information over to Rockfin with like the key and the URL and the server and all that. And it shows I've got a check mark on both of them right now. So if someone wants to go over to Rockfin, and let me know, but it says I should be live on both of them at the moment. So, yeah, if it's not working, somebody definitely let me know. Read some of these other comments here. Let's see. Tarot Man at Anthony Reyes, basically obey the rules or the cops will come and visit you. If you break the lockdown rules, same, and the pollies are doing the same, shaming people. And they are saying the same rhetoric. People like me are selfish anti-vaxxers. I don't care. Last month, there was an exemption for me because of heart issues. Now they're saying it's safe. I mean, that ain't funny, but at the same time, is that not a good representation of what the hell's been happening throughout this entire thing? First, you had Fauci starting off by saying masks don't work. Okay. And so let's see. Trying to read some of these chats here. So it looks like I'm not live on Rockfin. You got to have another tab open and then click go live on Rockfin. You have to write a title thumbnail. So getting this correct, you got to do like a StreamYard on two different tabs. Is that what you're saying? Because I did it to like both, and it was basically saying like it would go to both of them at the same time. But oh well. If it doesn't go through today, then we'll try to do it next time. Then I guess I wondered why I was getting like nothing from fucking Rockfin on this. I'm like, damn, everybody's just coming to YouTube today, huh? So, yeah, like I said at the beginning of this is my first time using the whole StreamYard thing. So, it's a learning experience. So, I guess the next time we'll try to get it live to Rockfin, but I will be uploading this video over to Rockfin by the end of it, though. So, uh, but yeah, like I said, this whole thing just flip flopping back and forth from the masks don't work. Now the masks work. You should wear 2 masks or 3 masks, you know, uh, even fucking better. You don't need to wear a mask outdoors. And then you look at what happened with Obama's birthday party, and they weren't wearing masks. Why? Because it's outdoors. But what did they put up outdoors? A tent. What? A tent? Maybe it's me, but doesn't that qualify as being indoors? The fuck is that shit? Like, outdoors is when you're outside and your surroundings are the grass and the trees and the sky above you. If I have 4 poles in a ground and cloth surrounding me, I am once again in an enclosed area, am I not? So that would kind of constitute being back indoors, I would think. But apparently, no, that's just not the case. Of course, because the government can justify just about any fucking thing they want. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm not gonna take this one as long as I used to today. I'm gonna probably read through a few of the chats here. I hate this didn't stream over to Rockfin at the same time, but the next time we do this, I'll definitely get that part ironed out. I thought it was going to both of them at once because I've got the green check mark on both, but we'll get it straightened out next time. But as I said earlier, if you haven't, definitely go follow the Lone Wolf podcast over on Rockfin. Great platform for content creators. So let's just look through some of these chats right here. Let's see. Tarot Man, I came to YouTube to catch my favorite FP shows such as the Duran, and then your notification and Twitter brought me here. Let's see. Anthony Reyes, they are highly incentivizing us to get vaccinated, like heavily implied. Yep. So, that's gonna happen. I look forward at this point, especially now that there is potentially the risk of a virus coming along that these things don't even work on, that they're probably going to start mandating vaccines. And the government won't do it, but jobs will probably start doing it. It's like, oh, you want to keep working? Okay, go get this shot. What the fuck are people going to do? They're clearly not going to stop you from getting kicked out of your home. That's already been tossed out on its ass. Okay. They're not, they've already undone a lot of the stuff for like the minimum wage and unemployment type, or not they ever did anything minimum wage, the unemployment, I mean. They've already undone a lot of that shit. I mean, fuck. What's the point here? I mean, if you don't go get it, you're gonna lose your fucking job and you'll be out in the fucking street. So they're gonna bend people over backwards into getting this shit fucking done. I see it coming. Time will only tell, I suppose. So, let's see. I don't really see any more chats rolling in here, so we'll probably wrap it up right here. It's been a good show. If you like the video, definitely hit that thumbs up button. Drop the comments in the comment box down below. This video will be going up to Rockfin, and the next time we do the live stream again, I'm going to work on having this whole thing straightened out. And we should get the live stream over on Rockfin next time as well. So again, want to thank everyone for tuning in today, and we will see you next time here on the Lone Wolf Podcast. Take care, everyone.